Good morning and good afternoon. Welcome to an early episode for Raj, episode of Before Coffee. It is mucking fun day. Not very fun, very mucking. So we cover the news from over the weekend and of today. This is Before Coffee, the father and daughter comprehensive news of Planet Earth podcast, where we've looked up our stories a little longer than 10 to 15 minutes before we started. And we have no caffeine. That's right, time to read these stories drowsily. So let's get into those headlines. Today on Before Coffee, Amsterdam riots during Ajax-Maccabi match. Let's look at what happened.
And we're going to talk about things falling as Asia's stocks are falling and things are falling into the sky above Dallas.
What is Sanchez doing for the Donna victims after the terrible flooding in Spain?
And more things in the sky as microplastics could be making the weather even worse.
Here are all the winners from the 2024 MTV Europe Music Awards.
And it's Veterans Day in the USA, and it's also National Sunday Day. So get your Sunday and salute a veteran. It's November 11th. 2024 on Before Coffee.
Let's get started with some tragic human news here. I'm going to be covering the actual reporting from the day and then kind of some aftermath reporting from today. So this happened on Friday, November 8th. Unrest in Amsterdam broke out early Friday night after Ajax played against Israel football club Maccabi Tel Aviv. Israel says it is sending flights to pick up the fans. This is from Jarda van der Spek, Lisa Riots, and Luke Diepeveen. Israel says it is sending 2 planes to the Netherlands to bring Israelis to safety. There was reportedly a very violent incident against Israel citizens in Amsterdam. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu told Reuters news agency. In Amsterdam, unrest broke out early Friday night, which was November 8th, after Ajax played against the Israeli football club Maccabi Tel Aviv. On Twitter, Israeli President Herzog speaks of an anti-Semitic pogrom. Israel's public broadcaster Han News said Netanyahu made his decision after a situation assessment with Israeli Foreign Minister Israel Katz. The Prime Minister demands that the Dutch government and Dutch security services take decisive and swift action against the rioters to ensure the safety of all citizens, Han News reported. Some supporters left Amsterdam directly from Schiphol in the hope of finding a flight home. A reporter from Radio 1 at the airport reports. Spokesperson for Schiphol tells NRC that they are not aware of any additional flights from Israel. Yeah, it just sounds like some grandstanding, you know? Yeah, our people are getting murdered in the streets. We're getting our own planes to go save them. Okay, dude, sure you are. Earlier in the night from Thursday, which was the 7th, to Friday, the 8th, that's called the Dutch Minister of Foreign Affairs, Casper Veldkamp, NSC. In that conversation, he asked for help in bringing Israelis to safety in Amsterdam. In the meantime, Prime Minister Dick Schoof had spoken with Netanyahu. Speaks of a completely unacceptable and anti-Semitic attack on Israelis, and assured the Israeli Prime Minister that perpetrators will be tracked down and prosecuted. It is not known whether there were any inquiries during the riots. The police told the ANP news agency that no ambulances were called. It is possible that there were injuries who did not report themselves or who treated themselves, but in which we are not involved in the sense. It's like, I got punched in the face, you don't need to go to the hospital for that. The Israeli Foreign Minister has said that 10 Israelis were injured and 2 others were missing after clashes between football fans. This has not been confirmed by the police. There will be press conference, I guess later on Friday, which I guess there was a press conference for more clarity. On Thursday, prior to the match between Ajax and Maccabi, clashes broke out in Amsterdam between Maccabi fans and pro-Palestinian protesters. Even after the match, things remained restless. Around midnight, riots broke out in the city center, with confrontations between young people and supporters of the Israeli club. A spokesperson told Amsterdam broadcasters AT5 that a total of 57 people were arrested from the moment the riots broke out on Dom Square until after the match. Earlier in the evening, according to AT5, chairs were thrown at Maccabi supporters who took to the metro to the city center after the match. The riot police then took action to protect the Maccabi supporters and escorted them into their hotels. PVV leader Geert Wilders said on Twitter that the images of the incidents looked like a hunt for Jews. Some more sensationalism. They're after them because they're Jewish. No, I think they're after them because they're the rival football team. This has been hooliganism has been happening since the 90s, maybe even the 80s, guys. Let's not act like it's anything more than that. Shame that this can happen in the Netherlands. Completely unacceptable, says the guy who wants to kick out immigrants and calls Muslims evil terrorists. Wow, I can't believe this happened. VVD leader Dylan Jessigels spoke in a response about sick images and pure hatred of Jews. I just don't want to hear it from Dutch people, man. Don't want to hear it. I'm just saying, historically, the Dutch people have not been very friendly to Jewish people, so they're just trying to, But yeah, we totally love those guys forever since the beginning of history.
Yeah, we love Dan. Don't forget they turned Anne Frank's fan before they turned her in.
Don't forget about Anne Frank, exactly. Okay. And kind of an update on this. This is from Luke Deepveen on NRC as well. Activists loses their summary proceedings against Amsterdam emergency ordinance demonstration and demonstrations are banned. So an Amsterdam court ruled in a summary proceeding on Sunday, which was the 10th of November, that the emergency ordinance enforced in Amsterdam will remain in force. So they basically said all demonstrations are now banned. Nobody is allowed to do anything because some football fans got rowdy. The emergency ordinance under discussion went into effect at 7 p.m. on November 8th and will remain until Monday, which is today, at 7 a.m., so it's already over. The reason for this was the violent incident that took place on the night of Thursday to Friday after the football match. The summary proceedings were initiated by activist Frank van der Linde, who wants to be able to demonstrate on Sunday afternoon on the Dam in Amsterdam against the genocide in Gaza, but also because our right to demonstrate is being taken away, van der Linde said in a statement. The demonstration remains prohibited by the rulings in the summary proceedings. The matter has rightly determined that there will be a ban on demonstrations in the city this weekend. According to the oral ruling of the court, and according to the judge, there were new incidents in Amsterdam during the night from Saturday to Sunday, and demonstrations could lead to new escalation of tensions in the capital, writes the ANP. For van der Linde, challenging the ban is a matter of principle. Mayor Halsema always says that the right to demonstrate is sacred, but this emergency ordinance is at odds with her own words, the activist said. This is not the first time the activist has filed a lawsuit. Van der Linde regularly starts lawsuits fueled by left-wing convictions, including on themes such as racism or the extreme right. In 2015, he opposed the city's partnership that Amsterdam wanted to establish with Tel Aviv. Activism brought him to attention in National Coordinator of Counterterrorism and Security, NCTV. But yeah, so it also, I saw a quick headline earlier that France is also looking to increase its security for the France versus Tel Aviv football match later in the.
We just call it a fight.
Yeah, whatever. It's going to be a fight. Next weekend. It's happening next weekend, so they're also looking at increasing because of this. And like I said earlier before we started the show, I would not be surprised if the Israelis are the first people to punch somebody, because I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody said that. I wouldn't be surprised. That's all. Not saying that that's what happened. I just wouldn't be surprised. That's my news stories on Amsterdam violence. Mm-hmm. On to yours. Your falling stories.
Sports is supposed to foster cooperation. Mm-hmm. Instead, it fosters violence. Yay, humans! Mm-hmm. We're failing at everything. Okay. So, on to China. This is for investing.com. Ambar Warwick. Most stocks in Asia fell overnight Monday as fresh fiscal stimulus from China largely underwhelmed, while data over the weekend showed inflation in the country remained in play. Just do the scrolling different. Oh, scroll too much. Regional markets brushed off a strong lead-in from Wall Street, which rose on Friday. U.S. stock index futures rose in Asia trade, with focus turning to the upcoming inflation data and a slew of Federal Reserve speakers this week. Inflation is probably going to go down, and the economy is going to improve for now. But Trump doesn't take control until next year, so we'll see total chaos. China's and indexes. I think they missed a word. Indexes fell 0.6% and 0.2% respectively, while Hong Kong's index slid 2.4%, was the worst performer in Asian markets. Investors were mostly underwhelmed by China's National People's Congress announcing about 10 trillion yuan, which is $1.4 trillion, in a debt swap program to improve the finances of local governments. But a lack of direct fiscal stimulus and targeted measures to improve the housing market and personal consumption left investors wanting, especially as data over the weekend showed. But let me get that thing going, Gunnar. Especially as head over the weekend showed Chinese deflation persisted in October. Chinese inflation grew at a slower pace last month, while inflation shrank for a 25th consecutive month. Wow. And analysts at ANZ said the lack of direct stimulus is likely to accommodate any potential headwinds from a change in U.S. administration. The Trump has vowed to impose deep trade tariffs on China, which bodes poorly for the country. It does, but it bodes poorly for us too. Don't forget us, consumers are not going to be able to afford the price hikes. The notion had also weighed on Chinese markets over the past week. Japan and indexes fell about 0.3% each, weighed by uncertainty over interest rates after some summary of opinions by the Bank of Japan's October meeting, which showed policymakers split over hike in interest rates. The BOJ had kept interest rates in October after hiking them twice early this year, as the bank saw a virtuous cycle of higher wages and inflation. Virtuous? Anyway, but the bank's plans for more rate hikes were clouded by heightened political uncertainty after a coalition led by Japan's ruling Liberal Democratic Party lost its parliamentary majority. Still, Governor Kazuo Ueda signaled at the end of October meeting that interest rates were still set to rise eventually. Broader Asian markets retreated as weakness in China spilled over. Australia's fell 0.5% as the country's exposure to China waned. South Korea's fell 0.9% by losses in technology stocks. Futures for India's index pointed to flat open as the index languished near 3-month lows. Indian stocks were walloped by heavy foreign capital outflows over last month. Indian data is due on Tuesday. In other news, things falling from the sky. WFAA in Dallas, Rachel Burnt has this story. Meteor over Dallas. WFAA's weather team says falling objects spotted in the sky were likely space debris. If you saw objects in the sky over Dallas last night, you likely were looking at space debris, not meteor, according to WFAA's weather team. Several WFAA viewers reported seeing objects falling in the sky over North Dallas Saturday night, and videos showed an amazing display of light crossing the North Texas sky quickly went viral online. The light show is described as a meteor shower online, but WFAA's weather team said the moving objects were likely not a meteor shower, but probably a piece of space debris breaking up in the Earth's atmosphere. You wouldn't be blamed for assuming that falling debris was part of a meteor shower, though. 2 meteor showers are currently flashing in the night skies across the U.S. The southern Taurids reached their zenith last Tuesday morning, and northern Taurids will reach their peak November 12th, according to the Associated Press. Showers are likely to continue to be visible through December. However, in this case, it is very likely that the light shower Dallas was a meteor. Was not a meteor. It was very unlikely the light shower Dallas was a meteor. WFAA's weather team concluded. They like touting their name over and over again. Sorry. Don't plagiarize our article. You're going to plagiarize our article, you're going to do some editing. Anyway, there are 6,000 tons of space junk in Earth's orbit, according to NASA. Most of those materials are moving very fast, about 18,000, almost 7 times faster than a bullet, according to NASA. That's scary, yeah?
That's really fast. The volume of space
debris in Earth orbit 7 times faster than a bullet, and a bullet is moving fast. The volume of space debris in Earth's orbit and the amount of debris means space junk does not pose a safety risk to people and property in space and Earth, according to NASA. However, usually debris falling from the sky breaks up upon re-entry and burns up before it hits Earth, according to NASA. Approximately 160 large objects, such as satellites, made uncontrolled re-entries in 2021. We did a chart on that. According to ESA's 2023 Space Environment Report, most debris if it makes it to the Earth, lands in oceans or uninhabited areas. And some of it doesn't. It hits people. That's happened. It's hit houses.
Yeah, very scary, yeah.
Speculation that this is Elon Musk garbage, so let's blame his ass.
Leon?
He's a big boy. It's all your fault, Leon.
I mean, there are some conspiracy theorists out there that are saying that Elon was, fucking and hacking the voting machines with his satellites, and that's why he's destroying satellites so that they can't find the evidence or something. I'm not sure if that actually happened, but
yeah, that's exactly what they were saying 4 years ago in the Trump camp, making shit up because they're a bunch of little crybabies that can't handle losing. But grown-ups, when they lose, they go, "Oh, we lost. We'll do better next time."
Yeah.
Not that party. They're a bunch of cowards. A bunch of fuck little babies. A bunch of tit babies. Back to you.
All right, for my next story, we are going to talk about the aftermath of Dana, which is the huge flood that happened last week that, has cost a lot of money, but also has caused the suffering of probably, I'm sure they'll say, 25,000 employees at least. So here's the idea. Let's look at what Sanchez is going to do, the president of the Spanish government is going to do to help these people who are suffering from the flash flood that no one saw coming. This is on 324 Cat. I don't know who it's by. If it's by anyone. It just says drafting. So whoever drafting is, thanks for writing this article. So Sanchez announces 110 measures for those affected by the Dana, with 3,765 million euros up for grabs. The labor measures will have retroactive effects from the day of the disaster and protect workers who have lost their homes or who cannot travel or telecommunicate. An extraordinary council of ministers approved today a royal decree with 110 measures. The president of the Spanish government, Pedro Sanchez, explained this in a press conference alone after the meeting of his government that approved them. At the beginning of the appearance, Sanchez reviewed the deployment of the means that has been done so far to deal with the consequences of the floods in the Valencia country, and he assured that things are going well. The strength of the state and public policies, together with expert advice, are always the solution to this type of crisis, such as the pandemic. He does not want value. He does not want. Oh, I feel like this is a bad translation. In the question period, some journalists asked Sanchez for an assessment on the controversy that has existed over the actions of the Valencian Generalitat in this crisis, and he did not want to get into it. Okay, so he does not value the role of Mazon and his government. Consequently, there will be political debate and the assumptions of political responsibilities in the general courts and the Valencian parliament. In the answers, the president of the Spanish government has taken the opportunity to criticize the misinformation that has existed and also the message of only the people save the people that has circulated in a lot of social networks, insisting that the state is all of us. Well, I mean, he's right, but also I think they're arguing that the state isn't going to help us, so we have to help ourselves. But the state is helping them with 3.7 million euros. Did I say 3,000 euros earlier? 3,000 million euros? What is that? 3.7, I think. Well, they're giving them a lot of money for support, so they're not abandoned by the state. Okay, I guess in Spain they do, like, they give you the 100,000 also in the thing. So it's 14 million euros and 373,000. That's what it is. Okay. Thanks for all. In this sense, he said there are more than 25,000 public employees of the state working in the affected areas that his government has already mobilized. So there's 25,000 people already helping the victims of the Dana, but they're acting like they're helping each other. I mean, yeah, if you want to consider public employees also the people, because they are. If you're part of the government, you're still also part of the people. 14.3 million euros have been mobilized and 2 approved decrees. The money is direct aid, but also credits and tax exemptions under special conditions designed so that those affected can recover as soon as possible. Not residents, tenants, and landlords will also receive assistance. Most of the 110 measures approved today are of labor nature, but direct aid to those affected is also being extended, especially the profiles announced last week. The first measures mentioned by Sanchez is that aid is extended to owners who did not live in the affected homes after they already approved giving it to owners who did live there. So first they're going to approve people who actually live there, and then after they do that, they're going to look at landowners who own property there who got destroyed. So first they're going to make sure people who actually live there get money. So they're taking care of those people first, as well as help pay for the furniture and belongings lost in the floods to the owners of the houses. They are now extended to the tenants who also lost them. Sanchez also said that when aid request is made, the petitioners will already have received 50% of the total requested, so that they do not have to wait for the request to be processed. But I guess if they get denied, they have to pay it back. In order to make the procedures as fast as possible, he said that the templates of the sub-delegations of the Spanish government are being expanded and that attention points will be created at all post offices in the affected area. So if you need help, go to a post office. Also, that is a plan to open temporary offices in the affected municipalities, and that 10 of them will start functioning today. To resolve the accommodations of those affected who need it most, the state is offering free of charge immediately 150 state-owned homes in or near the affected area, and 25 million euros will be allocated to buy more. Another measure is that those affected who are paying mortgages, if after the 12-month freeze on payments approved last week, if necessary, will be able to request another 12 months until 2026. Yeah, my house. Why am I paying a mortgage on a house that doesn't exist? Wait a minute, cancel all of them. My house got swept away in a flood. What am I paying for? The land? It should be cheaper then, I think. One of the most, because the land value has gone way down. It's underwater, one could argue. It's gone under. It's a terrible joke. Sorry. Okay. One of the most prominent measures is a package of direct aid worth 200 million euros to agricultural holdings that have suffered damage that prevents them from doing the next campaign. Also, those whose losses are greater than 40% of their productive potential, a measure to which 60 million in ICO, MAPA, SAECA credits are added for ranchers and farmers. All my cows are dead. Please give me money, because I have no ranch anymore. Makes sense. The decree also approved a program of 175 million euros to repair agricultural infrastructure, such as roads or irrigation systems that have been damaged. Another approved plan is 45 million to restore both the Albufera and the riverbanks damaged by the flood. That's going to take some while to get that fixed up. One of the most important items, however, is 500 million to pay for what has been dubbed the action plan against the mud. Ah, yes, not the mud. To remove it and also to reduce the damage to the water networks. Mud will get everywhere and all the cracks, and you need to get it out of there. Small but significant amount of 2 million euros will also go to direct aid to cinemas, bookshops, and cultural institutions that have had to close after the downpours. But don't be worried about, oh man, but I don't want to go through this. A lot of this stuff is retroactive. So if you were affected by the flood, you can say it happened this date, and so I would like all the money I lost since the flood. You can get it back, basically. In the second adopted by the Spanish government after the Tuesday's approved aid for those affected by the catastrophe, valued at 10.6 billion euros, with direct aid and fiscal measures for families and companies and the self-employed, the labor measures approved today will have retroactive effects from October 29th, the day of the catastrophe, and include the files from temporary regulation of employment, ERTO, due to force majeure or due to economic, technical, organizational production. Oh my god, I finally know what force majeure means, because I did a short film that was called Force Majeure, and it's the idea of something that, like a natural disaster, you can't say, you have to pay for this, like a natural disaster caused this. This is not my fault. You can't blame me for this. So, which companies can be accommodated? Companies in the affected areas, and also those that justify that their activity had been affected by the storm. Companies in ERTE will be exempt from paying 100% of the contributions until at least February 28th, 2025. That's not very long. So they don't even have like 3 months. The Spanish government estimates that the potential numbers of workers who could join the ERTE because they work in an affected municipality exceeds 350,000 people. Wow. Over 250,000 people have been affected, and that could approximately cost 147.9 million euros. Work will prohibit dismissal due to injury. Dismissals will be considered void, and temporary contracts will be suspended without being able to be terminated. Workers included in the ERTE whose working hours are reduced or whose employment contract is suspended are entitled to a contributory benefit of 70% of the regulatory base. This benefit does not consume quoted periods and does not require prior quotation either. So, everyone's getting a bunch of benefits. Vehicles will be renewed. Windows will be insured. It will be given to those who need it, especially 75% of their salary, and they can pay it back in 5 or 7 years. Domestic workers are also getting 70% of regulatory base. What else do we have? Working hours will be covered, especially for the people who have a 100% working hour delayed, because what am I working on? It's under, it's been completely destroyed. Loss of homes and tools are also being supported. So you can't work if you don't have your tools or your workshop. So a lot of worker protections, a lot of worker support. The government is looking after the people of Spain. It's not just the people for the people. And of course, a lot of employers are quite pissed that they have to do 100% paid leave and not getting any of the work out of that. But, that's force majeure for you. That's my story on the Dana and the support given by the Spanish government. On to your stories.
Okay. Talking about microplastics.
Mysterious
Everybody's
world
fun
of
little
microplastics.
Oh yeah. Thanks to DuPont technology and their Teflon, we've got microplastics getting everywhere. This is from, I didn't source it here. This is Wired.com. Miriam Friedman and Heidi Boos. A little bit longer article, not too long. It's republished from The Conversation under a Creative Commons license. So the conversation might be a longer article. I couldn't click that now. Clouds from water vapor and invisible gas in the atmosphere sticks. Let me get my headphones on. I was listening to and you at the same time. Clouds from water vapor and invisible gas in the atmosphere sticks to tiny floaty particles such as dust and turns into liquid water droplets of ice crystals. In a newly published study, we show that microplastic particles can have the same effects, producing ice crystals at temperatures 5 to 10 degrees Celsius, or 9 to 18 Fahrenheit, warmer than the droplets without microplastics. Interesting. Let's delve into this. This suggests that microplastics in the air may affect weather and climate by producing clouds and conditions where they would not form otherwise. What are atmospheric chemists? We are atmospheric chemists who study how different types of particles from ice form ice when they come in contact with liquid water. I'll do better. This process, which occurs constantly in the atmosphere, is called nucleation. Clouds in the atmosphere can be made up of liquid water droplets, ice particles, or a mixture of the two. And clouds in the mid to upper atmosphere, where temperatures are between 32 and negative 32 degrees Fahrenheit, ice crystals normally form around mineral dust particles from dry soils or biological particles such as pollen or bacteria. Microplastics are less than 5 millimeters, right, about the size of a pencil eraser. Some are microscopic. Scientists have found them in Antarctic deep sea, at the summit of Mount Everest, and fresh Antarctic snow. Because these fragments are so small, they can be easily transported in the air. Clouds are an important part of Earth's complex weather system with effects on precipitation, temperature, and climate. Ice and clouds has important effects on weather and climate because most precipitation typically starts as ice particles. Many cloud tops in non-tropical zones around the world extend high enough into the atmosphere that cold air causes some of their moisture to freeze. Then once ice forms, it draws water vapor from the liquid droplets around it, and crystals grow heavy enough to fall. If ice doesn't develop, clouds tend to evaporate rather than causing rain or snowfall. While children learn in grade school that water freezes at 32 degrees Fahrenheit or 0 Celsius, that is not always true. Without something to nucleate onto, such as dust particles, water cannot be supercooled to temperatures as low as 36 degrees Fahrenheit before it freezes. For freezing to occur at warmer temperatures, some kind of material that won't dissolve in water needs to be present in the droplet. This particle provides a surface where the first ice crystal can form. If microplastics are present, they could cause ice crystals to form, potentially increasing rain and snowfall. That's right, because ice does not dissolve. It will dissolve a little bit in dust, dust particles, maybe a little bit, but microplastics don't break at all. Dust has
dust in your skin.
Dust has a base form too, right?
Yeah.
Clouds also affect weather and climate in ways. They reflect incoming sunlight from Earth's surface, which has a cooling effect and absorbs some radiation that is emitted from Earth's surface, which has a warming effect. The amount of sunlight reflected depends on how much liquid water versus ice is in a cloud. If microplastics increase the presence of ice particles in clouds compared with liquid water droplets, this shifting ratio could change clouds' effect on Earth's energy balance. The Earth constantly receives energy from the sun and reflects it back into space. Clouds have both warming and cooling effects in this process. To see whether microplastics fragments could serve as nuclei for water droplets, we use four of the most prevalent types of plastics in the atmosphere: low-density polyethylene, polypropylene, polyvinyl chloride, and polyethylene terephthalate. Each was tested both in a pristine state and after exposure to ultraviolet light and acids. All of these are present in the atmosphere and could affect composition of microplastics. We suspended the microplastics in small water droplets and slowly cooled the droplets to observe when they froze. We also analyzed the plastic fragment surfaces to determine their molecular structure, since ice nucleation could depend on the microplastic's surface chemistry. For most of the plastics we studied, 50% of the droplets were frozen by the time they cooled to -8 degrees Fahrenheit or -22 Celsius. These results parallel those from another recent study by Canadian scientists, who also found that some types of microplastics nucleate ice at warmer temperatures than droplets without microplastics. Exposure to ultraviolet radiation, ozone, and acids tended to decrease ice nucleation activity on the particles. This suggests that ice nucleation is sensitive to small chemical changes on the surface of microplastic particles. However, these plastics still nucleated ice, so they could still affect the amount of ice in clouds. To understand how microplastics affect weather and climate, we need to know their concentrations at the altitudes where the clouds form. We also need to understand the concentration of microplastics compared with other particles that could nucleate ice, such as mineral dust and biological particles. To see whether microplastics are present at comparable levels, these measurements would allow us to model the impact of microplastics on cloud formation. Scroll to the bottom. Plastic fragments come in many sizes and compositions. In future research, we plan to work with plastics that contain additives such as plasticizers and colorants, as well as smaller plastic.
Colorants.
The gist of this is, if there's plastics in the cloud, the ice crystals will form at a higher temperature. They will not have to get super cold to form, therefore causing ice crystals to form. And what happens when ice crystals form? They'll get heavy, and when they get heavier than the air, it starts to rain. So there you go. And there's your little update on how we're destroying the planet, one little microplastic molecule at it.
Yay, more rain.
Have a nice. Hey.
That's exactly why terrible floods can happen, I guess. Unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, from climate news to culture news, let's talk about the winners of the 2024 MTV Europe Music Awards, which happened over the weekend. This is on Euronews by David Marquand. The 30th anniversary of the ceremony was held at Manchester's Co-op Live Arena last night. Big winners include Taylor Swift, Sabrina Carpenter, and Tyla. Taylor Swift came out on top at the 2024 MTV EMAs, walking away with Best Artist, Best US Act, Best Live Act, and Best Video for Fortnite, featuring Post Malone. Swift, who is finishing up her Eras tour on the other side of the Atlantic, thanked the fans for the bounty of prizes via video messages. Swift said of her wins, "Thank you so much for these amazing awards. The fact that you've honored the tour, everything that's happened with the album this year, the video is just unbelievable. I have to thank you so much to Post Malone for being the most amazing co-star possible in the Fortnite music video. Rodrigo Prieto, my amazing DP. The fans are voting for this. You're the reason any great thing happens to me. I know it every single day. So thankful for it. And this is just so exciting and so wonderful. I had the best time touring Europe this summer. It's just wonderful for you to do this." So there's her acceptance speech from on, I guess, over the internet. The UK show, which took place this year at the Co-op Live in Manchester, opened with an acrobatic Benson Boone suspended in the air on a gold grand piano performing his viral hit, Beautiful Things, and latest release, Slow It Down. Boone also accepted his first EMA for Best New Act. South African newcomer Tyla gave Swift a run for her money, picking up 3 awards for Best Afrobeats, Best R&B, and Best African Act. Tyla performed her smash hit Water for the EMA audience, flanked by a host of dancers, as well as singing energetic new track Push to Start. Elsewhere, Sabrina Carpenter picked up the honors for Best Song for her hit Espresso, and Ariana Grande was crowned Best Pop Act. Eminem took Best Hip Hop Act, beating Kendrick Lamar. That's a toss-up. I still think Kendrick Lamar's stuff today is better than Eminem's stuff now, but
Travesty.
That's me. Yeah. And baffingly, Best Alternative Act went to Imagine Dragons. Alternative instead of Hosier. Fontaines DC and Lana Del Rey. Imagine Dragons. Ah, yes, the alternative band. Aura had a close relationship with the singer, and the pair recorded a song together in 2018. British singer Rita Ora, who hosted the show, paid tribute to former One Direction star Liam Payne, who died last month after falling from a balcony in Buenos Aires. Ora had a close relationship with the singer, and the pair recorded a song together in 2018, For You, 50 Shades Freed. She addressed the audience saying, I want to take a moment to remember someone, Liam Payne, who's one of the kindest people I knew. Her voice broke as she asked the crowd to take a moment to remember Liam, saying, he had the biggest heart, and he left such a mark on this world. Pop legend Busta Rhymes was awarded EMA's Global Icon Award from British rapper Little Sims, who won Best UK Ireland Act, while UK duo Pet Shop Boys were honored with the inaugural Pop Pioneers Award for their contribution to pop music. Yeah, I know those guys, Pet Shop Boys. So there is all of your updates coming out of the MTV EMAs. And I could read you the list, but you can probably just look up the list yourself. It's a very long list of people who won. Global icon Busta Rhymes and pop pioneer Pet Shop Boys. And here you go. Now up to this day in history.
Mm-hmm. All right. Congratulations to all the winners and their trophy cases. The this day in history, in 1417 on November 11th, Martin V was unanimously elected Pope, bringing to an end the Great Schism. It was a great schism while it lasted, wasn't it? 1493, Christopher Columbus sighted the island of St. Martin. And he said, hey, that's a good place for a vacation someday. And 1778, during the American Revolution, Iroquois, in direct retaliation for colonial assaults on two Indian villages, attacked a New York frontier settlement in the Cherry Valley Ring. So the Iroquois had enough of that shit and took out a village. 1813, British troops under Colonel J.W. Morrison, what is related to Jim Morrison, defeated U.S. forces led by General John Boyd at the Battle of Chrysler's Farm during the War of 1812. In 1831, enslaved black American Nat Turner was hanged after leading a slave rebellion that resulted in the deaths of some 60 white people. In addition, many innocent enslaved people were massacred in the accompanying hysteria. So idiots lost their shit and killed their slaves. Now what do we do? Go get more slaves, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, the Nat Turner slave revolt. Remember when you see those history books saying that slavery was just people would just get a jobs program. Nope, it wasn't. It was life and death, literally. 1865, for her work as a surgeon during the American Civil War, physician Mary Edwards Walker became the first woman to be granted the U.S. Medal of Honor. This award was rescinded in 1917 for some reason, but it reinstated in 1977. Don't know the politics behind that. Probably some bullshit. It always is. 1872, American actress Maude Adams was born. She was best known for her portrayals of James Barrie's heroines, who also played Joan of Arc, as well as the Shakespearean roles of Juliet, Viola, and Rosalind. 1880, Australian outlaw Ned Kelly, this is a great day for executions. Australian Ned Kelly, who is the most famous of the bushrangers, bandits in the Australian outback, was hanged in Melbourne. And you know how painful it is to be hanged in Melbourne. 1889, Washington was admitted to the Union as the 42nd U.S. state, Washington State, the one just north of Oregon here. 1920, armistice. Sorry?
No, I was just agreeing with you. It's right.
In 1920, the first Armistice Day, the anniversary of the end of World War I, was marked with the burial of unknown soldiers in the tombs of Paris and London, and a similar ceremony was held at Arlington National Cemetery, Virginia, in 1921. In 1966, Gemini 12, the last spacecraft in the Gemini series and the first to make an automatically controlled re-entry into Earth's atmosphere, was launched. Yep, there you go, the last Gemini. Then they started using the name Apollo. 1975, Angola declared independence after Portuguese withdrew. In 1992, the Church of England voted to ordain women as priests. The first ordination took place
spreading religion with women, yeah!
Wait, we get to worship the invisible man just like you men do. Anyway,
well, they can tell people what to do. It's more like the thing, right? They get the power.
Golly, don't you know you're sinning by doing that? I'm like, yeah, probably. Anyway, 2004, Sinning doesn't bother me because I was told I'm a sinner. That's what I did. Why should I worry about it? Anyway, 2004, Yasser Arafat passed away. He was president of the Palestinian Authority, the PLO, and the leader of Fatah, the largest of the constituent Palestinian liberation organization groups. Died at this day in 2004. And featured event, of course, is the Armistice Day. World War I armistice was signed. It didn't really officially end until they did all the borders drawing and crap like that. But on this day, at 5 a.m. on this day, in 1918, the Allied powers in Germany signed an armistice document and railroad carriage of Ferdinand Foch. Oh, by the way, I sent you a video. Hopefully you got it.
Okay, let me see. Yes, I got it.
It's an end of World War I. The commander of the Allied armies, it was done in a railway carriage of Ferdinand Foch, the commander of the Allied armies, and 6 hours later, 6 hours later, in the 11th hour, the 11th day, the 11th month, maybe even the 11th minute, 11th second.
Yeah, just perfect. Yeah, perfectly timed.
11:11.
And that's why people say it's 11:11. Make a wish. That's where it came from.
Hey, don't want to get 11. Yeah. And our feature biography is Leonardo DiCaprio, who's in his spare. Was he in any war movies? Wasn't he? Remember?
Leonardo DiCaprio was in Saving Private Ryan, wasn't that? Or is that Matt Damon?
That's me.
Okay.
You get them
I get them confused. I do.
Tom Hanks, Matt Damon. You get them two mixed up, do you?
I do.
They're
I don't know.
Close to the same age, really. DiCaprio's turning 50 today, as
he continues dating 24 years.
Has updated. You'll like what's that?
As he continues to date 24-year-old people younger than 24, so he's now dating people half his age. Officially.
He has a formula: divide your age by half and subtract 15 years, and that's the lowest age of your female you can date. He's 50, and by the way, as I was saying, you'll enjoy this. Britannica has updated their year. They know it's 24 now because they're saying that Leonardo DiCaprio turning 50 today. Happy 50th birthday to Leo. You're getting old now.
And before they don't change it for another year, so they won't know it's 2025 in 2 months.
His best scene is The Revenant, where he's fighting the groups.
I mean, it's the one he won an Oscar for finally. So
it's just too much. Of course, sleeping inside of his dead horse is also pretty gross too. But yeah. And other birthdays today. In 1821, Fyodor Dostoevsky was born, Russian author Dostoevsky. 1885, George Patton was born, U.S. United States General. 1896, another criminal. We got to remember those criminals. Lucky Luciano, American Crime Bosses guy. Yeah, Lucky Luciano, one of them Vegas guys. In 1922, Kurt Vonnegut was born, so happy 102 to Kurt Vonnegut. You read some Kurt Vonnegut, or just listen to him talk. And of course, we did Leonardo DiCaprio, and those are all the birthdays. What other days is it today? It's only two things. It's Sunday Day, National Sunday Day. Let's call it the Day of Sundays, because day is not a good coherent sentence. So let's call it the National Day of Sunday, which is not the day Sunday, but the ice cream scoops with stuff on top. And it's also Veterans Day. Those are the only 2 days it is today, so I guess they're just doing that out of respect for veterans by not trying to glom on a bunch of, it's also a national, Save Your Toenails Day. Oh, anyway, those are your days for today. Monday, November 11th, 2024, on Before Sunday. It is Before Sunday, 6 days before Sunday.
Yeah, one could argue, yeah. All right. That's also for the UN official days. It's not today, but yesterday was Day for Peace. And what was it? Wait, this is a long one. World Science Day for Peace and Development. So using science to find peace and develop it, I guess. So That was one of the UN International Observances Days. So,
Our
use
peace
science for
movement.
benefit of society, share science between countries to sustain peace, and promote facing challenges together as the human race on one planet that we live on, Earth. The other day was World Humanization Day, which I believe Egypt is celebrating that, and who else? Ethiopia or somebody? I can't remember all the countries, but a lot of people have immunized their countries against malaria and leprosy. That was the other one we covered last week and the week before. So vaccinations are essential for preventing and managing infectious diseases and outbreaks, fight against antibiotic resistance, and support security of global health. Getting vaccines isn't going to kill you. Honestly, if you think dying is better than getting autism, if you really believe vaccines give autism, and you think dying is better than getting autism, you need to get your head checked, and you need to see a therapist about that. So, support immunization, support vaccines, support spreading. I mean, this is a great example of science helping keep world peace. Idiots, that's who believe it. But that's our day today. This has been Allison here from the Netherlands. I have not conducted in any riots against footballers, so I'm innocent in that. And we will see you tomorrow for some Good Tuesday, where we'll cover some good news. I have no idea when we're gonna film tomorrow, because I want to give an appreciation to Rog here for waking up at 4 a.m. to do this, because he's in Oregon now. So yeah, we will see you when we see ya. And here is the mic drop moment.
On this day in history, November the 11th, 1918, the armistice was signed between Germany and the Allies, ending the First World War. The armistice was the culmination of a coordinated Allied offensive extending across the Western Front, a distance of more than 400 miles. Faced with this overwhelming advance, the Germans were driven back from the territory they had fought hard to acquire over 4 long years of war. With the situation increasingly dire with every passing day, the Germans dispatched a diplomatic delegation to the front. On the morning of November the 11th in Compiègne, France, an armistice was reached between the Allies and Germany, declaring a cessation to hostilities on the Western Front, effective the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month.
How
4
perfectly
years of
planned.
intense fighting had cost all combatant nations dearly, and Allied soldiers and civilians alike rejoiced.
Woo!
Yeah. All happy playing the trombone.
The signing of the armistice on November
I love going around in circles.
In the United States to honor those who served in the First World War and helped bring it to a close.
A war that accomplished absolutely diddly squat.
Over some dude who got assassinated or whatever.
More than 30,000 Americans who died in the First World War.
Austria-Hungary.
A great example of how people can just fight each other for no reason.
The sacrifice of those who fell through the care of the hallowed
Humans are
grounds in
stupid.
which they
The
lie.
reason the World War was so
recurring
great, it
theme
was
on
the
this
first
show.
modern war where people were just getting killed senselessly.
Here's a
Before-
helpful hint. If you find yourself hating somebody for no reason, knock that shit off. Think you're perfect? You're not.
It's not worth it, man.
Anyway.
Thousands of young men getting killed for no reason. Not worth it.
Yep, just think of the butterfly effect of one person.
Yeah.
Anyway. We'll
That's
talk
that.
to you later. I'm going to go downstairs and be some of that free breakfast. That
Hell
starts at 6
yeah.
o'clock.
I love hotels giving you free breakfast. Everyone loves that.
The
Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and notify buttons, and follow our other channels, Toxic Alley, History of Gravy, and Scratchy Old Records.